Hello, my name is James Lyles. I am one of the members who worked on the Healio project. To give an overview, one of the main problems we focused on while creating Healio was how difficult it was to manage diabetes on a daily basis. Uh, People with diabetes, they have a lot to keep track of, like their blood glucose levels, the meals they eat, the medication they take, and even their physical activity. The problem is not all this information is usually stored in one area. So it's hard for people, both young and old, to stay consistent. For example, someone might have to check their glucose levels multiple times a day, or they have to take different medications at different times a day, or they might have to try to remember what they ate and how it affected them down the road. But without a good system, most of this information gets scattered through different apps or written down, or they try to rely on their memory and it just simply gets forgotten. Right now, without Helio, people either, like mentioned before, write this down or use a spreadsheet, use a notebook, or are scrolling across different apps for different reasons. This isn't reliable because it's hard to notice patterns, it's hard to understand what's affecting them and their health. So, our goal was to just simplify it. We wanted to create one centralized app where a user can track their meals, track their glucoses, add reminders, track their medication, what time they took that medication, and their activities, all without feeling overwhelmed. Uh, Another big goal of Healio was to help users simply stay consistent and track everything in one place. Like I said, their glucose level, their meals, their medication activities. Um, so instead of just logging information, they can start to see trends and make better decisions. We also wanted to make it easier for users to share their data with their caregiver, their doctors, anyone that they find important. So overall, Helio was meant to reduce the stress and confusion in managing diabetes and make it easier for people to stay on top of their health and more organized in practical ways.
Hi, my name is Abhinav, and I'll be walking through the technologies we use to build Helio, how they fit together, and some of the key takeaways from our development process. So for our tech stack, we built Helio using a modern full-stack JavaScript architecture that allowed us to move quickly while keeping things scalable. On the front end, we used Next.js with React and TypeScript to build the core user experience, including the dashboard, logging, and reports. TypeScript helped ensure consistency, especially when working with structured health data. For styling and UI, we use Tailwind CSS with a custom theme system along with recharts for data visualization and framer motion for subtle animations. On the back end, instead of managing our own server, we use Supabase, which provides both a PostgreSQL database and authentication. This significantly simplified our architecture. We handled server-side logic using Next.js API routes, and for notifications, we used Resend along with Vercel cron jobs for scheduled reminders. Finally, the entire application is deployed on Vercel, which made deployment and iteration very straightforward. Now that we've covered the technologies, I'll walk through how everything fits together. At a high level, everything flows through our Next.js application. The user interacts with the front end, and any actions like logging data or generating reports are sent to our API routes, which handle the server-side logic. Those API routes then interact with Supabase, which stores all the data and manages authentication. So for example, when a user logs health data, it's stored in Supabase, and then it's queried back into the dashboard and reports to generate insights. We also integrated additional services into this flow: recharts for visualization, JSPDF for generating reports, and resend with cron jobs for sending scheduled emails. Overall, this gave us a really clean separation between the UI, logic, and data layer while keeping things at the system level simple and easy to manage. And working with the stack, we learned a lot about what worked well and what we ended up changing along the way. So one of the biggest strengths of our stack was the combination of Next.js and Vercel, which made deployment and iteration very smooth. Supabase was also a major advantage since it handled both the database and authentication, reducing the overall backend complexity. On the front end, Tailwind helped us build quickly and consistently, and tools like recharts and JSPDF allow us to deliver meaningful features like data visualization and report exports. We also found that using Resend with cron jobs was a simple and effective way to implement our notification features. On the other hand, we initially explored tools like Prisma, Redux, and Twilo, but ultimately moved away from them because they added unnecessary complexity for our use case and the scale of our application. So, overall, one of the biggest takeaways was learning how to balance all of these tools with simplicity to build something that's both functional and maintainable. So, with the architecture in place, let's move into the demo and see how everything comes together in the actual app.
Hello, my name is Ritika. For this demo, I'll be using our sample user, Bobby Smith, who is a 31-year-old with type 1 diabetes and has been using our app for quite a few months. So let's go ahead and sign in. When Bobby opens the app, he lands on his dashboard, which is his main hub, and right away he notices his streak, which means he's been consistently logging his health data. And then right down below, we have the reminders section. And then to the left, we have the quick log section where he can log the glucose or medication, meal, and activity. And then if you scroll down, you can look at his glucose trend chart. So instead of just focusing on a single reading, Bobby can look at his overall pattern of glucose throughout the days. And this line shows how his glucose level change over time. So he can quickly tell if it's trending upward, dropping, or staying stable. You can also change the days, so you can go from 7 days to 14 days or 30 days. You can also customize it to display how many days would you like to see the trending chart. And you'll notice that there is an activity bar along the chart. So these show when Bobby logged his workout or movement. So by lining up those with the glucose line, Bobby can start to understand how his body responds. For example, if his glucose drops after a workout, he can clearly see that connection. And then right down below, Bobby can quickly scan his key stats, such as his current glucose or time in range, and in just a few seconds, he can understand how well he can manage his condition overall. Bobby can also glance at his recent logs, where he can see his latest entries all in one place, making it very easy to stay organized and up to date. So let's say later that night, Bobby checks the app, again in a darker environment. So Bobby switches to a dark mode, which is available in the top right corner. So when we click it, everything looks the same, but it's just much easier on the eyes. And right beside it, we have the notification enabling and disabling. And right beside that, there is the profile where you can change by going into the settings. And we also have the sign up button available here. Now let's assume that it's the night before Bobby's doctor appointment. So instead of trying to remember everything, Bobby can go to the reports page at the top, select it or click it, and then he can select between the last 7 days, the last 30 days, or the last 90 days. And he can download the PDF report, or he can type in the doctor's email and then send it to him that way by clicking email report. And the doctor's side will look like this when he receives the email. And once you click the attached document, now he can see Bobby's clear summary of his glucose trend. It's very easy to navigate as well. Now let's go back into our app and then go back to the light mode again and then go to logs so we can understand the deeper functionalities of log.
Hi, I'm Sun, and I'll be walking us through the logging functionality. And at the top here, Bobby can click the logs page, and it'll drop him down here, where he can see his log history for the day, week, month, all, or a custom date. And if we scroll down, we can see all of his history. And down here, we can see the visualizations. The blood glucose trend and the key stats are the same from the dashboard, but we also have this intake versus exercise, where we can see how much carbs he's intaking versus how much exercise he's doing on a specific day. Now if we scroll back up, we can go to blood glucose, and Bobby can log in his blood glucose level, and let's say it's really high at 250, and we can add this log. And we immediately see there's an alert here saying that our glucose is above our safe range, which indicates hyperglycemia, and it gives us a recommended activity to do. Down here, we see the alert again and the log history. We can delete this history if we need to, and if we go back up and we go over to our medication, we're going to see we can add our medication. Let's say it's metformin, and let's say it's 200 milligrams today. And we can save this prescription and add this log. And you can see here that it updated the saved prescriptions, where we can quick log this and we can change the date and the time and the dosage. And down here, we see the medication history where we can edit and delete it. And above here, we have the alert where it constantly checks our medication and our glucose level, and it'll tell us if our range is really high or really low and gives us recommended actions. Now moving back, we have the meals, and I'm going to quickly just look over this. It has the same features. We can do meal types, what we ate, carbs, calories, the date and the time, and we can save this to quick log later, and we can log the meal. Now down here, we already have some favorites, so let's just log salmon and rice. And down here, we'll see at 10:41, we just logged the salmon and rice, and we can delete it if needed. Now moving back, we have the activities page, and we can select any of these preset activities. We can do a time, let's say we did cycling for 30 minutes today, and we can save this activity. And down here, see we have cycling saved for 30 minutes, and we can quick log this if we need to. And down here, it'll say 30 minutes, and we can edit or delete it. Now up here, we're going to have this activity awareness history, and we can click this, and it'll say if an alert was generated. If we go back and we do cycling again, and we do today, and let's set this a few hours before, we'll add this. And if we go back to the awareness history, we'll see here that an alert was generated at 10:42, which is the current time, but the activity started at 7:41. And it'll give our level of information, our status, and the title of the alert. And how we're going to view that alert is we're going to go and refresh this page. And the alert will pop up here, and it will be constant throughout other tabs as well. Now, how the alerts work, we'll have a tab here that explains it, but I'll briefly go over that we need an activity. The glucose and medication logs and meals are optional, but it uses that information to model the risk, and we can also set quiet hours to not have any notifications at all. And up here, we can either dismiss it or clear it. If we dismiss, it'll just close the card where we can quickly go back into it and see all our information, or we can clear it, which will just remove it entirely. Now this is going to be the end of the logging functionality, so let's move on to the calendar, setting, and reminder features.
Hello, my name is Brandon, and I'm going to be walking you guys through our calendar, reminder, and setting part of our app. Let's start with the calendar. So this is where we can see the entire month of our health activity, and if we click on a specific day, we get more details. Like on the left side is the reminders, and on the right side is all the logs that we've already recorded in the past. And we also can add the reminder from here as well by choosing the type, the time, and also how often the reminder is going to be repeating. And when you save it, it's going to be saved to the new reminder. You can also remove the existing reminder, edit them, or disable them if you want to stop a reminder. So let's look at our settings pages where we can personalize our experiences with the app. And at the top, you can edit the basic information like name, age, and diabetes type. And when click all settings, everything is going to be saved for you. And right below is the glucose range settings where you can use the default or custom glucose ranges. You can also view the time zone that we're currently in. Next up, we have the activity glucose awareness. In this section, we can adjust the sensitivity depending on how many reminders we want. And you can also turn on the quiet hours to hide the in-app alerts during certain hours. And you can also view the alert history from here as well. For the notification part, you can either turn on or turn off the email notification, and also set how long of the inactivity that can trigger a reminder. So let's say if you haven't logged for 24 hours, you're going to be receiving this email that kind of help you to stay on track of your health. And there are also basic functionality like changing password, logging out, or deleting the account. And that kind of wraps up our presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy watching this.